$847. That is what was in his account. The day everything almost fell apart. Alex had no inheritance, no trust fund, no family connections in finance. His parents never talked about money, except to say there was never enough. He grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment in Cleveland, watched his mother work double shifts as a hospital aide, and learned exactly one financial lesson growing up: survive the month. 14 years later, Alex sits on a net worth of $780,000. Not from a tech startup, not from crypto. From understanding 5 psychological shifts that separate first-generation wealth builders from everyone else who stays broke. And the first shift? It has nothing to do with money. Here is what nobody tells you about growing up without money. Poverty is not just a bank balance. It is an operating system. When Alex got his first real paycheck, $42,000 a year, as a junior analyst, his brain did something fascinating. Behavioral economists call it scarcity mindset persistence. Even when income rises, the neural patterns formed during financial stress keep running. You hoard cash under the mattress. You distrust the stock market because nobody you knew ever owned a stock. You spend windfalls immediately because your subconscious whispers, "This will not last." The Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances shows that families with no prior wealth accumulation are 60% less likely to invest in equities, not because they cannot afford to, but because their risk perception is shaped by survival, not growth. Alex's first shift was not learning to invest. It was rewriting the sentence in his head. From people like me do not build wealth, to I am the person who starts this for my family. Have you ever caught yourself thinking that wealth building is for other people? At 29, Alex made a decision that changed his family tree forever, and it started with $50 a week. That sounds laughable. $50. But here is the brain science. The National Financial Educators Council found that financial illiteracy costs the average American $948 per year. Alex was not just losing money to bad decisions, he was paying a tax on not knowing what he did not know. So he automated $50 a week into an S&P 500 index fund. At the historical average return of about 10% annually, that $50 a week becomes roughly $38,000 after 10 years. After 20 years, $107,000. After 30, $260,000 from $50 a week. But here is what made Alex different from everyone who reads that math, and still does not start. He understood that consistency is a psychological skill, not a financial one. Behavioral economists call it commitment architecture, designing your environment so the right choice is the default choice. He never saw that $50. It left his account before he could feel it. And that invisible discipline became the foundation of everything. Forget everything you think you know about why rich families stay rich. It is not the money they pass down. It is the conversations. The 2025 TIAA Institute Financial Literacy Index found that American adults correctly answer only 49% of basic personal finance questions. For Hispanic Americans, that drops to 39%. For Black Americans, 38%. That is not a knowledge gap. That is a generational silence. Alex grew up in a house where the word investing was never spoken. Not once. The stock market was something that happened to other people on television. A 401k was a mysterious form his mother never filled out. Robert Daugherty, a global investor featured in Forbes, puts it sharply. Wealthy families do not just transfer assets, they transfer psychology. They gift their children $500 in index funds instead of a gaming console that is obsolete in 5 years. They talk about compound interest at the dinner table, the way other families talk about sports scores. Alex became the person who broke the silence. He started talking to his younger brother about Roth IRAs. He opened a custodial account for his niece on her first birthday. Not because he had excess wealth, but because he understood that the most valuable inheritance is not a check, it is a vocabulary. Here is a stat that should make you angry and then motivated. Baby boomers hold 51% of all American wealth. Millennials and Gen Z combined? About 11%. The top 1% of households control over 30% of the nation's wealth. The bottom 50%? 2.5%. The game is not fair. It never was. But here's what Alex figured out: that most people miss. The system is stacked against you at the starting line, but it rewards you exponentially once you get moving. That is the asymmetry of compound growth. In 2026, anyone over 50 can contribute $32,500 to a 401k. If you are between 60 and 63, that jumps to $35,750. The IRA limit for those over 50 is $8,600. These catch-up provisions exist because the system acknowledges the gap. But here is what the system does not tell you: the Roth IRA, the single greatest wealth-building tool for first-generation builders, grows completely tax-free. A 25-year-old who maxes out a Roth IRA for 40 years at 7% real returns retires with over $1.4 million. Tax-free. Transferable to the next generation. Alex did not try to beat the system. He learned its rules better than the people it was designed for. This is the part that gets emotional, and it should. There is a saying in wealth circles: shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. First generation builds it. Second generation maintains it. Third generation loses it. Except that is not actually true. A Harvard Business Review analysis found that wealthy families who have explicit financial conversations and estate plans tend to remain wealthy across generations. The ones who lose it, they transfer money without transferring mindset. U.S. Bank's wealth management team says it directly. The goal is not just to transfer wealth. It is to pass on the mindset that created that wealth in the first place. Alex is 38 now. His net worth is not flashy by Instagram standards. No Lamborghini, no mansion. But his niece has a custodial investment account that has been growing since she was 1. His brother maxes out his Roth IRA every year. His mother, the hospital aide who worked double shifts, retired 2 years early because Alex helped her optimize her Social Security claiming strategy. He did not just build wealth. He built a system that outlives him. The CFA Institute projects that $124 trillion in assets will transfer from older to younger generations by 2048. Most of that will go to people who already have wealth. But a growing number of first-generation builders, people like Alex, people like you, are making sure their families are not left behind. Remember that $847? Alex still thinks about it. Not because it was his lowest point, but because it was his starting line. Here is your one action for today. If you do not have an automated investment, even $10 a week into an index fund, set it up before you go to bed tonight. The amount does not matter. The automation does. Your future family tree is watching. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Consult a qualified financial advisor for personalized guidance.